Cool, thanks, Matt. Cool, Sean. It's just me and you. What should we talk about?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about?
No, I got some questions. I'm going to be professional about this. But yeah, maybe just to get started, like, what have you been up to recently? You sounded like you just got back from an expedition, and where was that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we went to Greenland this summer. We sailed off from Brittany in France in July. We sailed all the way to the east coast of Greenland to a place called the Mythic Cirque, and basically the sailboat dropped us off there for about a month and a half, almost 2 months, and we were in this fjord with like as yeah, just as many big walls and mountains as far as you could see. So yeah, we just had a base camp there, and we had our inflatable kayaks, and we would just climb anything that attracted us. And then after about a month and a half, the sailboat came back to pick us up, and we sailed back to Europe, all the way to Brittany.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. It was a brilliant expedition. You know, it's just amazing to be out there in the middle of nowhere in Greenland, in this super wild place. You know, where there's nobody around, and have all these mountains and walls to find amazing challenges on. So yeah, it was magical, absolutely amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And was it previously developed, or was it was it like totally like virgin terrain, or was it like some developments already?
There's a couple of routes there. Yeah, there was a Lebecki, Mike Lebecki route. And yeah, there was a couple of climbs in the Mythic Cirque. There was a couple of climbs. There was a British climb also. Yeah, but there was plenty left to do. I mean, there's plenty of adventure there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you did you have a little accident or something? Like, what did something go wrong? You alluded to something happening.
No, nothing went wrong. I took a bad fall. Yeah, I took a bad fall and I hurt my ankle. Like I had a big, fat, swollen ankle, and it was all colored in blue and purple, so it wasn't very nice. And we were about it. You know, we wrapped down, obviously, because I couldn't push on it anymore. And so we wrapped down, and then there was a 10-hour hike left to get back to base camp. So I had to walk on a swollen ankle for 10 hours, which was not optimal, I suppose, in very difficult terrain. You know, there was a glacier and lots of moraine and unstable ground. So yeah, it was a bit of a fight to get back to a bit of a challenge, at least, to get back to base camp. But yeah, and then I chilled. It was the last week, so I chilled for the last week. And after that, I was on a sailboat, so I didn't need to walk on it that much anymore. Yeah, we got back in October, and my fall was in August, and I'm still recovering from it. Like I can still feel it, but it's getting better. Yeah.
Did you break something, or just a bad sprain?
It's just a very bad sprain. Yeah, there's a couple of torn ligaments and stuff like that. Yeah.
What kind of what do you guys have in place for, like, if a bad accident happens? Do you take a sat phone or anything on those expeditions?
Yeah, we did have a sat phone there. Well, not a sat phone. It's called whatchamacallit. You can just send text messages.
Oh yeah,
texts.
yeah. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Cool. So like you're known as, like, super adventurous, right? It's like adventure is your kind of thing, I suppose, and that's kind of what you're known for, and that's like the basis of all your films, right? It's like adventure, cool locations, and music. That's like what you guys provide. I'm interested to hear, like, what counts as adventure to you. Like, what kind of, like, the ingredients of adventure, and is it like relative between people, or do you think there's like an objective standard of like what counts as an adventure?
I don't know. An adventure can be anything. I guess it's an adventure is it. I guess it needs to be a challenge. You know, there needs to be a challenge part to it, and then yeah, most of the time an adventure is something in nature, or in a wild place. But yeah, I think they're the two real ingredients, I suppose. But yeah, an adventure can be anything. You can go on big adventures um, just outside your door, right here, or wherever you are. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. So I feel like, because adventure requires challenge, do you feel like, because, for example, like when you first start climbing, sport climbing is an adventure, right? Or like going bouldering is an adventure.
Yeah.
And then you keep having to like up the challenge level to still feel like you're going on an adventure. And now you guys like do these big expeditions and you sail there, and like just getting there is probably a massive adventure, right?
Yeah.
Do you sometimes feel like, what's the next level? Like, how am I going to push this further? Or do you feel really content with kind of just carrying on doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to push to the next level or anything. No, I'm happy enough continuing on with what I'm doing. And yeah, no, I don't think it needs to get bigger and bigger all the time or anything like that. Yeah, I'm pretty content.
Nice. How did the Fitz Traverse rack up on the adventure scale? Because I guess you were on your own and often you're with other people.
Yeah, that was it was something. It was special. It was something special. It was um yeah. I mean, it's very hard to describe, but it was definitely something personal that I wanted to do for myself, and uh, yeah, it was amazing. It was huge. It was like living a dream, yeah, like a dream come true. Yeah.
Cool. So was it like all fun? Were you just like like happy the whole time? Or were you like at moments like, fuck, what have I got myself into?
No, I was pretty much high all the time. Yeah, pretty much like enjoying every single moment. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there was a couple of setbacks. My rope got damaged and stuff like that, and there was definitely doubts, and I was like, oh, that's the end of it. But I would quickly switch back to, oh, let's just enjoy this and see how far we can get, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I was enjoying every second, and even though I wasn't getting much sleep, maybe at nights or anything, I would wake up every morning, full of energy. Like I would wake up before my alarm clock and everything, and I was just psyched, happy for what was to come, and just happy to be up there. And I was like, yeah, let's do this, yeah. And I was just yeah, I was making I like it was very important for me the whole way along, that I was really in the moment, and that I wasn't thinking about trying to get to the end or anything like that. I was really focused on the moment and just enjoying the little things, like even like the feeling of the granite under my fingers, or a footstep, or anything, just small things, just the sounds in the distance of water running or something like that. And so I was really enjoying the experience.
Nice, that's cool. I do think of you as someone who kind of like reflects a lot on, I don't know, psychology and climbing, but also just like, maybe I'd even go as far to say is like you kind of spiritual, in the sense that like you think climbing, you find a lot of meaning in climbing, I guess. And there's like depth there. But then you also like, you guys are also seem to be the ones having the most fun. Like, like on the films that where you're like singing and dancing and like swimming next to icebergs and stuff, like you're just having this great time. Like how do you balance that, like sort of like profundity of climbing, with all that meaning and philosophy and stuff, with like all this like fun stuff that's going on day to day?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I don't think about it too much. It's not like it's not like I like yeah. It's not something I think about too much or anything like that. But For sure. I think it's very important to have fun, and to enjoy yourself. If you're not having fun, then why are you doing it, And so yeah, we make sure that we enjoy ourselves, and yeah, like something that might seem um, like uh, like almost stupid to bring your musical instruments along or something like that, but for us it's even though it's extra weight or whatever, it's part of what makes it fun, so that it's kind of a crucial equipment for us, because it's part of the fun and the experience. So I think it's very important for me. It's important to have fun, and yeah, we have a good laugh. Yeah.
What do you think like stops people from having fun in climbing? Like what could people do to have more fun other than have musical instruments?
Other than what? Sorry.
Other than playing musical instruments?
Well, I think maybe sometimes people take it too serious. They like climbing has many aspects, kind of, and sometimes people get too focused on the sport aspect of climbing, maybe the performance, and they just want to perform, and so they get really serious, and they just think about anything that will all these strategies and stuff like that will that will bring your that will help to make your performance, and you're counting your grams of your weight, and you're cutting off the tags on your clothes and stuff like that, and then you get so focused on the strategies and performance size that you forget to have fun, and I think when you lose that, you the I think the the feeling you have when you're climbing goes the feeling comes from your head then more when you're thinking too much about the strategies and stuff like that. And I think it's a lot more efficient when the feeling comes from your chest, and you have this passion, and so I think I think there's a danger that if you focus too much on the performance and you get too serious around the things, you you lose the connection with the passion, and and yeah, and having fun, or being connected with the moment, that brings you back to that passion, and just you I think just I think you're just a lot stronger and you're a lot more efficient uh, if you if you climb with heart, if you climb with passion, like it's I think it's a lot more powerful than overthinking, or than having the them being so focused and then overthinking everything.
Yeah, I guess like with performance, you often have like your attention focused on the outcome, so then you're like thinking of the future, right? Like, will I do the route? Will I not? Whereas
Exactly.
like when you come from this like positive place of like, I'm just here to have an experience. I'm here to be like positive and enjoy and like, yeah, come from a place of being passionate, then you're present with what you're doing. And you seem to like, you embody that so well. Like, I feel like every time I see you at the crag, like you're just like throwing everything at the wall, like no matter what it is, like if it's covered in moss, or like if it's like a crimpy slab route, or like some mountain thing, like everything you kind of like put everything into it. Do you not get exhausted? Like, do you ever need time to just like chill and read some books and like relax, or do you just feel like you have like a boundless energy all the time?
No, I think maybe when I was younger I had this boundless energy all the time, but even then I would hit a wall every once in a while. But definitely, like after an expedition or something that I put a lot of energy in, that's exhausted me, I definitely need some time to take a step back and maybe to do easy stuff, and or even not climb for a while and just read books, or take it easy for a while. Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I think when I was younger, I had a very hard time with that, because I was always like going full on, and I was always like, yeah. And I think I probably got like overtrained and very tired a couple of occasions. So now, but
Right.
now I see the importance of like taking a step back and taking stuff easier sometimes and taking a rest, you know. Yeah, I think when I was younger, I would hardly ever not climb for for more than 2 days in a row, you know, like I was climbing every day almost, you know, or maybe I'd take one rest day a week or something like that. But
Wow.
but now at least once a year I'll take a week or a few weeks off, you know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you seem to kind of travel a lot, right? It's like you almost live on the road. Do you have a home base?
Yeah, I mean, my family's here in Belgium, and I mean, yeah, I have some gear and stuff here, so I come back to Belgium quite regularly, and but yeah, I'm mostly traveling. I would say most of the year I'm traveling around. Yeah.
How do you find that? Because I remember like in the past few years I've traveled a bit less, and I think I traveled most of my 20s, and I think it did get a bit tiring somehow, like not having a home. You know, do you ever find it tiring, or do you feel like you could easily make home the place wherever you end up?
Yeah, I think I could make home wherever I end up. Like last year, I got stuck in Patagonia for a year and a half because of the pandemic. You know, I was there for the pandemic, and that's the longest I've ever been in one place for in my whole life. You know, because even when I was a child, I would go at least twice a year to Ireland to visit relatives and stuff like that. So that was the longest. I was 1 year and a half in the village of El Chalten, you know, in this small village in Patagonia. And yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved it, and I enjoyed being in. Well, obviously, it's, you know, one of the most beautiful places on the planet, so it's a beautiful place to be. But I really enjoyed being in that same place for so long, you know. And some of my friends there, some of the local climbers there, you know, they were getting itchy to move and to go and visit other places, but I was happy there. I could have stayed there. No bother. You know, I mean, I had everything that I needed there. There was climbing, and there was the mountains, and there's like, if you want to go on a huge expedition, you can just go from right out there, out your doorstep, you know, and just start. You can walk for a week and go and climb a mountain that's, you know, very far away or whatever. And there's bouldering right outside of the door. There's sport climbing, so there was everything that I needed, and yeah, it was I really, it was awesome to be in that one place for that long. And yeah, so I could see that happening at some stage.
What, settling down a bit more and staying in one place, you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where do you think you would pick?
I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't decided yet. We'll see.
Nice, yeah. Because you're kind of like, you have like three backgrounds, right? You're like part Spanish, part Belgian, part Irish, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, which do you feel closest to?
Oh God. Well, uh, um, like like I don't have any family or anything in or relatives in Spain, so I don't have that much. Like, I don't feel very connected to my Spanish roots so much, but definitely to my Irish roots. Like, I've been going to Ireland twice a year, you know, since I was born. So, and I have a lot of relatives there and a lot of cousins and family there. So yeah, I definitely feel very connected to Ireland, I would say. Yeah. And then here in Belgium, I was brought up. I have lots of friends and stuff here. So I mean, usually when people ask me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Belgium because that's where I was raised. And if they ask me but I actually don't have the Belgian nationality. My nationality is Irish. So if they ask me what nationality I am, I tell them I'm Irish.
Right,
But yeah, so yeah.
bit of a mix. So, you know, unlike some European climbers, you've actually spent a lot of time, or quite a bit of time, in Ireland and the UK. What do you think of British and Irish climbing? And you know, you know, what are some of your favorite places and favorite memories from climbing in the UK? an island?
Well, I mean, I love the climbing in Britain and Ireland. I mean, I think it's I mean, I think I've learned a lot from it, and I think it kind of forged a little bit my mentality also a lot, and yeah, I think it was a good school also for big walls and for big adventures and for the vision that I have now in climbing, because here in Belgium, for example, everything's been bolted, everything is bolted, and so if I would have only climbed here when I was younger, that's all that I would have known, and I would have thought that to climb you need to put bolts, but then climbing in Ireland and the UK taught me that you don't need bolts to climb, and I think that a lot of people in other parts of the world don't see that vision, they think bolts are necessary, at least for anchors or but in Ireland and in the UK you have crags where there's no bolts on the whole crag, and the climbing is brilliant, and lots of people go climbing there, and people accept it that way, and so it opens your eyes to different ways of doing things. So yeah, so I think that's amazing, and it's a great school. And yeah, I mean, I love places I love in Ireland is I mean, Fairhead has definitely got to be up there. Fairhead is this it has an amazing feel to it and an amazing spirit to it. So I love Fairhead and the Burn. And then yeah, in the UK, I think Wales is amazing. There's lots to do there, and there's lots of variety, and yeah, it's an amazing place.
That's cool. Talking about kind of bolts and ethics and stuff like that, it's a topic we love here in the UK. I guess like when I was younger, I was like so anti-bolt. Like that's how I was brought up, like not necessarily at sport crags. It was like bolting's okay at sport crags, but like we can't ever bolt our trad crags. And then I feel like as I've traveled around the world and like seeing other places and how you can have this like semi-mixed style, right? So like in Squamish, for example, you can still have like kind of cool, bold granite roots with like a few bolts in or something like that. And so like I maybe have like a bit of a more liberal or relaxed approach. Now I've kind of grown up and traveled a bit more. Like, where do you sit with it? Like, are you pretty like kind of extreme with like you don't think like any trad crag should be bolted, or like, yeah, I mean, how do you see that whole debate? Because it's something we talk about a lot in the UK.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I try to be open, and I try to accept others people's opinions and stuff like that. But personally, I tried to say, the least bolts possible, and the cleaner the better. But that's always very relative, it depends on the person and everything like that. So I try to I try to avoid placing bolts and as much as I can, and yeah, it's relative, it's hard. I mean, it's difficult, but I think what I'm worried most about now is that because there's more of a tendency to go towards more bolts than less. So I'm just afraid that people are going to lose that vision that it's possible to climb without bolts, and so I think there's room for everything, but with so many climbing gyms and stuff like that, and so many people starting climbing gyms and sports climbing growing so big and becoming so big, I think we might be losing more of the adventure part of climbing. So yeah, so I try to push that as much as I can, really. Yeah. Do you actually remember the first time that we met?
Yeah, in Squamish, right?
Squamish, yeah. And then we went climbing at this crag. I forget where. And
Murren Park.
You remember that? And we
yeah.
and then I climbed this climb. I some 512. I forget what it was, and
yeah, really classic one.
Did I onside it? I forget if I onside it or I fell on it. And then you asked me, should I should I top rope it or lead it? I'm hesitating. And I said, well, I told you should probably top rope it because, you know, it's reachy. There's a reachy start, and, you know, it's kind of dangerous and it's hard. You should. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know what grade you climbed. I didn't know anything about you. But there was this small girl, and I was like, oh God, if she's gonna lead it, she's gonna fall and break her legs or something. I'm like, maybe you should top rope it first, you know. And then you easily onside-ed it on the top route. You hiked it so easy, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, oh God, and you came down, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have told you to lead it. I didn't know. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember pretty well, and I have a bad memory. And I think what was funny is I was like asking you, like, do you think that peg will come out? And you thought I meant like when I was top roping, would it come out as a directional? When I actually meant if I were on lead, like would I deck? Yeah, but I think it's funny because that kind of points to like how good a school British and Irish climbing is, because I guess I'd already climbed a bunch of routes that were bolder than that. I was probably already I think I was 18 then. And so, but yeah, like, but what's funny about all that stuff is it's really difficult when you think about like who gains and who loses, because like imagine if like all climbs in the world were like as bold as it's Flight of the Challenger, I think is the name of the route, and he's not super bold or anything, but it's like, you know, you could hurt yourself. I think actually didn't Will like fall off it and rip the peg out and deck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a few years later, I think he was just like doing a lap on it and fell out, and he ripped that peg out and fell to the ground. Yeah. But you know, because there's this balance, isn't there, between like preserving the adventure so that people like you and me get to have these like cool experiences, but then there's also like we want to make climbing accessible so that people who climb in the gym can actually climb outside. And they might, you know, someone might only find climbing when they're like 40, and like they want to climb outside, but they don't want to hurt themselves, you know, they want to just have a great time. So I mean, like, yeah, what do you think like is the answer? Is it just maybe just different areas have different styles and you preserve the style of the area?
Yeah, I think something like that. I think it's important, yeah, and I think for the moment it's more important to try and preserve the more adventurous places, because I think they're kind of the ones that are more under attack at these times, you know. But yeah, for example, a few years ago, I remember I was in Adersbach in the Czech Republic climbing, and you know, it's where there's you have to climb on knots, and it's very scary, and I was there for a week or so, and I was climbing every day, and it was just so, it was mentally, it was so draining, you know. I was every day I was getting scared, you know, and I really had to, like, every day, no matter what I climbed, you know. And some days I would be like, okay, today I'm just going to do easy stuff and I'm not going to get scared. I just want to do some easy stuff and not get scared. And then I would get an easy stuff and I would still get scared because I would end up in this off width and way run out and like this knots and stuff. And I remember I just like after a week or something, I was just like, I just want to do something that doesn't get me scared, you know, maybe some sport climbing or something. I just need to give my head a bit of a rest, because yeah, I mean, I love getting scared sometimes, and I love pushing myself and trying to control that fear and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes, you know, you just want to climb without being scared of hurting yourself, or without having to deal with that focus, you know, of commitment. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's one of the great things about climbing, is that there's so much variety and that there's all these options. Yeah, and it would be great to keep them, you know. I mean, I think it would be terrible if we lost places like that, like the Czech Republic, where if everything got bolted or anything. Yeah, I think it would be terrible, because I think we'd be losing something very special, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to explain to people, you know, why is this commitment worth it, but I think I think you learn a lot from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because I guess kind of other extreme sports don't get decided. The challenge level gets decided by nature. So, like not everyone surfs the biggest wave. They just don't even get in the ocean for that beach because the waves are too big or whatever, right? Um, and so there is kind of this philosophy of like just let nature decide. And that's kind of what's so cool about trad without any fixed gear at all, is that nature has decided the challenge level and we're not like lowering the challenge level to us. But at the same time, like what you've described about your headspace and getting tired of being scared in the check, like a lot of people feel that all the time climbing on sport routes anyway, so they're already getting this like massive challenge level from going sport climbing. So like if we just had everything trad and like you had to solo a Pollyanna or whatever, like that would be a shame too, right? To like miss out on all this cool sport climbing if we didn't bolt anything. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Like it's cool to have the variety. Thinking about like being scared, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I did this interview with you years ago, where I asked you all these questions about how you deal with your headspace in climbing and stuff like that. Do you remember?
Yeah. You mean like just a written interview, is it? Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't
You had
remember
some,
I don't remember what I wrote down, but this was a long time ago.
yeah, well, maybe your ideas have changed, but I don't know. But yeah, you said some cool stuff. Like what I really liked is you said something you said something really cool about your ego.
Oh God.
I think it was like no, like it was something like, do you ever get scared to climb in front of other people or something like that? And you were like, no, if I ever get worried about that, I just get out there and like destroy my ego. Like
Yeah.
you purposely like try and destroy your ego. And I think that's a kind of a quite unusual concept for a lot of people, because having your ego hurt is like really unpleasant, like um it's just it's obviously it's just quite unpleasant, right? Having a bruised ego, and it like physically hurts, when your ego gets hurt. So like, I don't know, what do you think about that? Like, does your ego ever play a role in climbing? Do you ever have to like control it, or yeah, and then like how do you go about trying to destroy your ego?
Oh God.
Just
Yeah.
an easy question.
Yeah, it's an easy question. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, I have an ego, and yeah, it's something I need to work on and everything. But yeah, I mean, just the other day, I was in Poland for a presentation, and I went to a climbing gym, and yeah, there was people climbing, and you know. People know who I am, and so I could feel they have all these expectations on me and things like that, and they would invite me over to try some hard boulders or whatever, and I was like, oh, I could feel that I had this thought come up, oh geez, I'm going to disappoint them, they're going, I'm not, and that was, for me, that was right away, like right away that means, okay, I have to try, and whatever happens, I'm they're just gonna it's that's just who they're just gonna that's just who I am, so if whatever happens, I'll just do my best, and or whatever, and then, or I'll just fall, and then they'll 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 think they'll think I'm not strong or whatever, and that's okay too, so yeah, I mean, it just happened, it still happens, things like that, but um yeah, I mean, I think it's I think it's just kind of good to notice when the ego comes up, and to know that it's not the truth, that it's just a thought, or that it's just it's not reality. And yeah, I think it's good to just try and get into the moment and just think about what's important, you know, what's really important. And yeah, other people's expectations, or your own, maybe even your own expectations, you know, is not important, is not part of the essence. And so it's good to put that into perspective. Yeah.
Do you have any tools or like tips for actually noticing when it's your ego talking? Because sometimes it's hard to tell, like, is this my ego or is this not my ego?
Oh God, I mean, yeah, I think it's just good to pause sometimes and ask yourself that question. You know, I think that's already a big step, and then try and think about yeah, what your motivation is, and why you're doing it, or yeah. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly. Um, yeah, like for example, when I was going to do the moonwalk, for me, it was very important that I, you know, that I was doing this for myself, you know, that I wasn't doing it for glory or for something like that, you know, or for other people, or that it was really an intrinsic motivation. And so I decided that I wasn't going to tell anybody, you know, even like I was just going to do this and not tell anybody about it. But then obviously people were going to find out, and then but for me, like before I started, it was important that I was going to be okay with that, you know, that I would accept that I was doing this and nobody was ever going to find out about this. You know, I would do this and nobody would ever. That was the important thing. And then when I saw that I was okay with that, you know, that then I knew I could go and try this. I could do and try this Fitz traverse, you know. But that was something that was important for me. But yeah, sometimes it's sometimes it's hard to know. But I think, like, yeah, for example, that can kind of be a test, you know. You could ask yourself, like, if okay, I'm gonna do this, and you really have to believe yourself, you know. You really have to be honest with yourself, you know. And that can be hard sometimes too. But yeah, you have to be very, very honest with yourself and say, okay, if I do this and I'm not going to tell anybody about this, am I okay with that? You know, will I still do it? And yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a good test, I think, to see like where your motivations come from.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? Forgotten what I was going to ask you. Let's just switch things up then. Oh no, I was going to ask you a good question though, so I'm going to try and remember it. Oh, that's it. I've got it.
Oh no.
How does sponsorship fit into that, right? So I guess you have like quite chill sponsors, I guess, but like being a climber that people know, and obviously like that traverse that you did was really cool, right? Like on this kind of, if we're going to make comparisons kind of thing, like that no one had done that before, right? And it's really inspiring for people. No one had done it on their own. So do you think it's harder for professional climbers, people who have sponsors, to manage that psychology? And if so, like, you know, how do you approach that?
Yeah. Obviously I'm maybe a little biased because you know, because I do have sponsors and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe it is. I mean, maybe it is a little bit of an extra pressure, but obviously I'm really very lucky. I have none of my sponsors. They're always very relaxed, and they never put pressure on me. They're just happy for me to do what I like to do, and yeah, they don't. None of them tell me, you know, that I have to. You know, do that. I have to do more Instagram posts or do something interesting to attract media attention or something like that. So I'm very lucky. I mean, I definitely see with some other friends, sometimes they get a little more pressure from their sponsors, and I think it can be something very difficult to deal with, especially for some people. But I think for me, it's very important that doesn't become a pressure for me. That it's my own motivation and that it's intrinsic, and I think that's the most important thing for me. So I think that one day, if I do feel that I'm feeling pressure because I have sponsors, or because I feel like I have to do something for my sponsors, then maybe I will. I hope I have the strength to take a step down. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see it with some other friends who are some other sponsored athletes that that they have a very hard time to manage the pressure, or to maybe to to know what their motivation is sometimes.
Yeah. There's a question from someone from the audience, and it just relates to what we're saying. Are you a full-time climber, or do you do other work as well?
Yeah, I'm a full-time climber, but yeah, that doesn't mean that I just climb and don't have to worry about anything else. I do a lot of lectures and things like that. So I travel when I'm not on expedition. Usually, I'm traveling around from one lecture to the next, or from one film festival to the next, and things like that.
You edit the films, right? That you make often. Part of that process.
Yeah, very often. Yeah, I do the editing. So I edit movies after coming back from an expedition. Write articles, things like that. So yeah, and obviously there's things you need to do for your sponsors sometimes. Do some events, or write something for them. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that come into it. Yeah.
Nice. Talking about traveling around, I feel like you've got quite like a minimalist, like non-consumerist kind of approach. Like I remember when we met in Squamish, you guys like were just living in the Squamish campground, and like you hitch everywhere. Like you would never like rent a car or anything like that. And for years you just hitched around Europe, right? You never had a car, never had a house, just like always just with the climbing gear and the things on your back. And then finally I remember you got a car, and it was like this big deal for you. But then you would like never drive anywhere on your own because you always like wanted to make the most of the fuel. But then also you like fly a fair amount, I imagine, right? Like you probably don't fly tons, but you probably fly maybe twice as much as like a normal person, maybe. I don't know. So and you obviously like have like you care about the environment and about climate change and stuff like this. So how do you reconcile like the life of a pro climber flying around with like climate and environmentalism?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not out of it yet, but yeah, I'm trying to fly as little as possible. I'd like to not fly at all anymore. Yeah, so I'm trying to stop flying. That's one of the things that I'm trying to do. I mean, it's hard because yeah, there's these places and people that I like to go and see, and yeah, it's very easy for me to fly because a lot of the times all these expenses are paid by sponsors, and they want me to go somewhere, and they want me to go to Canada or America or whatever, and I'm getting paid to do these things, and so it's hard to say no sometimes. But on the other side, it's a first world problem. It's all very, very relative, and I mean, we're extremely privileged, and I know I certainly am. I'm extremely privileged. So yeah, everything, it's very relative, but I think all those things, like for like yeah, all those things are very relative, you know. And but I try to live as simple as I can, and I like to live simply. But obviously that's also very relative. Like that year and a half when I was in Patagonia, I was living in a caravan, and it was cold in the caravan. Sometimes there wasn't any heating, and it was -20, and there was lots of snow in the winter. You know, it was very cold outside. But you know, compared to somebody who has to live in the streets, for example, I mean, having a caravan is super comfortable. You know, it's a huge comfort. Or compared to sleeping on the side of a big wall in a storm in a portledge, a caravan is super comfortable. So yeah, I try to put things in perspective, and yeah, so it's very relative. And yeah, I mean, having a car is a huge a huge,
Luxury.
yeah, luxury. It's a huge luxury, and you can go wherever you want. And so yeah, I have a small van, and I live in it most of the time, and I have all my stuff in it. But yeah, I mean, it's something I definitely have a hard time with the flying and knowing what to do with the flying and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm trying to stop flying. I mean, this summer our expedition to Greenland was on a sailboat, so we didn't do any flying. There was minimum impact, but I mean, I know I want to go back to Patagonia, for example, and I mean, I could try and sail or something, but yeah, it makes the whole thing a lot bigger, you know. To
Yeah.
yeah.
It's also like at some point you're like you there's a few things going on there. Like one is you're sort of someone who is somewhat in the limelight in climbing. And if you're like, oh, I sailed to Patagonia, you know, obviously most people can't take the time to sail to Patagonia. So it's not like a thing that everyone can do.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the other thing is like all the time and money and resources that go into sailing to Patagonia, it's low impact, but like if you spent that time working to earn money or something, you could then like, I don't know, buy a little piece of the Amazon or something. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when we're quite extreme about climate goals and low impact, we end up like missing the effective, like we miss out on being as effective as we could be, maybe. I don't know. Or it just seems like really impractical for the impact you're actually trying to save. I don't know. It's definitely a tricky one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, so I don't know, but yeah, I just try to do my best, and I do think it's time for a change, and to try and stop consuming so much, and to try and yeah, that there's a change in the way we do things. I think I think there's a time for that. Yeah.
So do you reckon you're in, like I kind of put people into like one or two camps, which is probably like not very accurate, but when it comes to the climate crisis, there's like people who think that like we can't keep consuming what we do, like there has to be a change in mindset, and the answer is really like a change in how we as individuals see the planet, see resources. And then there's other people who are like, we'll never get the whole population to change those ideas, so we need to like basically like work with capitalism and maybe create a carbon tax, that kind of thing, but there's no chance we'll actually change our mindset around it. So it's, and also like the whole like it's not individual responsibility, it should be policy driven, that kind of thing. I mean, do you feel like Like how much responsibility should we put on individuals?
Oh gosh. I mean, I mean, obviously, there's. I mean, we need to do. I think that we need to put the responsibility on both sides, you know, on the system and on individuals. I think, but I think the system can change if individuals change. You know, if the system is not going to change if the individuals don't change. You know, if the people don't change, then the system's not going to change. So. I kind of have the feeling that it has to start with the people, and then the system will change. But I think both need to change. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Nice. Cool. Maybe we'll finish off with like a fun one. Maybe you can play us a song on your tin whistle. My boyfriend asked the question, if you could write a sea shanty about your life, what would it sound like?
We actually have you never heard our song? We wrote a song once. It's called "Big Wall No More." Have you heard that song before?
Oh no, I don't think so.
So it's a song about big wall climbing and about many of the expeditions that we did. Well, I took the tune from an old Irish sea shanty called "Go to Sea No More." So yeah, and I just put lyrics on it about big wall climbing and about going to big wall no more. But yeah, I mean the lyrics talk about that. How we go to Yosemite and we got our ass kicked, and all the suffering you get on a big wall in Yosemite, and then so you should never go on a big wall again. And then we went to Patagonia and it was cold and snowed and we froze our asses off, and never go on a big wall again. And then we went to Greenland and it rained and the seagulls were vomiting in our face and all the difficulties, and so you should go to big wall no more. And then and then the last verse says, you should, if you're climbing in your climbing gym and training your one arm pull-ups, you should stay in the gym, and just enjoy the warmth and the good company in the gym and never go on a big wall again.
So this is the motto you want to leave everyone with, right?
Exactly. Stay in your climbing gym. No more. Will I sing a verse of it or something?
Yeah, go for it.
So these are my uilleann pipes. They're Irish bagpipes, and I've been learning to play these. So. When first I went to Yosemite, I went to climb El Cap. Well, as a poor sport climber, I had no technique, for I'd never climbed any crack. And I could not lock and I could not jam, but I sure as hell could lay back. Well, I grovelled and I cried and I pissed in my pants, and I swore I would big wall no more. No more, boys, no more. Oh, go on a big wall no more. 'Cause a man must be blind to make up his mind to go on a big wall once more. Never again. Thank you.
That's great. I feel like I've experienced your whole music career, because on that trip to Squamish where we first met, you were just learning how to play the tin whistle, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember it being fairly painful.
Oh, really? That's funny. I was actually the thing with my tin whistle was so Nico actually plays the guitar, right? And so we started hitchhiking around Europe and stuff like that, and he would bring around the guitar. I was brought up with lots of Irish songs. Like in my family, we would always have sing songs, and we'd be singing all these traditional Irish songs. So I had a big singing culture, and I would sing all these songs. And Nico would play the guitar. But at one point, I was like, I should learn an instrument too, to travel with Nico. And obviously, the obvious thing was a small Irish tin whistle. It's easy to travel with, and it's pretty easy to learn. And so I started carrying it around. And Nico, he was very encouraging, and I was trying. I remember when I was beginning, I was starting off, and I thought I sounded terrible, and Nico was like, "No, that sounds amazing. Keep going, keep going." But afterwards, I found out that he said it was actually kind of like an investment. He said I sounded terrible, but he knew that if he encouraged me, I would keep going and I would get better. And he says it took a little longer than he expected, but at one point, at last. It didn't, his ears, it wasn't too bad on his ears anymore. And he said, at one point, he said, "Sean, at last you can play the tin whistle. All those years I was telling you that you were good, and I was encouraging you, but in fact you were killing my ears. And at last now I can tell you, you actually can play the tin whistle." So that was a big moment for me. And
Nice.
it was kind of funny because he always encouraged me. He was always like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Really? I didn't think I sounded that well." And he's like,
Everyone
"Yeah,
else
that's
was
amazing. Keep going, keep going." Yeah.
Nice. It makes sense now. I mean, what a great friend.
Yeah.
Because I would have been like, "Stop playing the tin whistle."
Yeah. He saw the investment, and
Nice.
he could see what I could become, and no. There you have it. I'm a musician now. I'm better known as a musician. It's really funny because one time we were a few years just before the pandemic, we were in Patagonia, and with Nico we were walking towards Cerro Torre. We were on the path, and we were still on the hiking path. And there was all these trekkers, and there was this girl. She was from Russia. She was from the east somewhere, from Bulgaria, or I don't know where, but maybe she was. I think she was Bulgarian or something like that. And she was walking. We were walking towards Cerro Torre, and she was walking down. And so on the trekking path, she was a trekker. She wasn't a climber. And we walked past her, and we walked about 10 meters or something past her. And all of a sudden, she turned around and she said, "Hey, you guys are those musicians." And Nico turned to me and he said, "You see, Sean, we're not even climbers anymore. We're the musicians. We're the famous musicians." And she's like, "Oh, can I have a selfie with you guys? Can I have a selfie?" And Nico was like, "We've made it. We've made it. We're the musicians. We're not even the climbers anymore. We're known as musicians now." So, yeah.
Nice.
Funny.
I feel like musicians get more kudos than climbers. So
Nice.
you've made it in life.
Yes. Yeah.
You've made it.
Yeah. If I could win like what is it, a music award, is it a Grammy or something? I don't know what the music award is, but that would be brilliant.
Yeah, that would be cool. I feel like you've won a lot of awards. Someone asked if you can play the Dodo's Delight. I don't know. We can either finish it or you can end with the Dodo's Delight.
Or what?
Should we finish on Dodo's Delight?
Okay, I'll play the Dodo's Delight. Yeah. So I think everybody probably knows what the Dodo's Delight is. It's a sailboat, and the last trip we did in Greenland, it wasn't with the Dodo's Delight. Unfortunately, it was with a big French boat called the Camac, which was an awesome boat, but it was at least twice as big as the Dodo's Delight. It was a lot more comfortable. But the Dodo is always going to be a special boat for us. So here we go. I'll just play it on the tin whistle, I guess.
Yes, I would offer to sing, but I can't sing and I don't know the lyrics, so sorry.
Maybe I'll sing one verse and then you can sing the chorus with me. when there's vicious storm at sea and all the ships are safe at shore. There's a tiny little sailboat that keeps sailing on for more. Oh, through hurricanes and cyclones, 40-meter waves and more. What's the name of that mighty sailboat that never goes to shore? It's the Dodo's Delight. Let me hear you sing it. It's the Dodo's
Delight.
Shining bright in blue and white. It's the Dodo's Delight. Come on, Hazel. It's the Dodo's Delight. It's the Dodo's Delight. Shining bright in blue and white. It's the
Dodo's Delight.
Yes. Well done.
I'm not a singer. I have not any musical anything inside me.
Well, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was very good.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sean. That was a great conversation. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know. Shall we call it?
Yeah, I